All right, guys, this is KMKanDrum, and today is a special section for Q&A with KMKanDrum. I have with me my old friend, Katherine Wing, who I think we met back in maybe '08 or '09 when I was playing with the Woolly Bandits, and you were playing with the Green Lady Killers, and I feel like we were playing a show together at the Redwood Bar in downtown LA. I'm pretty sure that if that wasn't the first time we met, it was one of the first times. But yeah, that was a while ago, and when I moved to New York in 2013, um, you had this crazy idea, or actually, I don't know if it was your idea or my idea, but the idea was crazy for me to be your drum teacher.
Yep.
So I gave you a couple of lessons right before my wife and I moved to New York, and that was the last time really that we spoke, right?
I think so, Kelly. Yeah, it's been a while.
And so bring me up to date. What's been going on since then?
So, gosh, yeah, that was a few years back. So I'm still here in Los Angeles. Still loving it, and I've played in I guess quite a handful of other bands since we last hung out and talked. Right now, my main band is a band called Blood Candy, and we're, I guess you could say, a kind of dark, heavy shoegaze band, if you will. I'm also playing kind of in this other side project called Caress with my singer from Blood Candy. It's her solo project, so that's more of an electronic project, kind of electronic synth, and she has some programmed drums, and so I'm playing um, live drums through triggers. It's quite
Ah,
a hybrid setup for that project with her. So that's been fun. And I just play some of her kind of bigger shows, and it's more or less for fun with that project. Um, and I'm working for Roland, which has been a lot of fun. Um, we do V drums and synthesizers and things like that. So it's kind of, I guess, opened up my drumming world to kind of the hybrid drumming world, and I've been kind of messing around with that stuff. And I guess that's kind of a summary of what I've been up to.
cool. So yeah, so with with were you working at Roland when I moved, or were you still at Guitar Center? You were at Guitar Center, right?
Yeah, I was working for Guitar Center. Um, yeah, I started working for Roland in September 2017.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So like what do you do?
At Roland, I am on the marketing team,
Oh,
and
cool.
that's for Roland US because we're a global company. And I work with our third party partners, I guess you could say. So whether it's like our dealers that sell our gear, or if it's our media partners, because I do the media buying for both Roland and Boss in the US.
Mm.
So I kind of work with all of our various partners on advertising and marketing programs, which is cool. It's fun. It's a good day job that still has to do with music. You know what I mean? And then I guess I play music at night.
So do you get any perks for working at Roland?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say there's perks. We have a lot of gear, which is cool. It's fun to be able to get my hands on the gear and try stuff out. We do a lot of cool events and things like that. So, getting to hang out and do that kind of stuff is fun. Um, it's been a good fit. It's been cool for like a day job if I'm not on some world tour, which hasn't happened yet. But yeah, it's a good day job for me. It's been fun. It's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, geez, it's great that you can have something uh that keeps you in LA because, that's where the great music is. And you're not originally from LA, right? You're from Phoenix, is it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm originally from Phoenix. I moved to LA back in 2012, and I've been out here ever since. So I guess it's been some years.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you're you get to work in the music industry while playing music. Do you meet anybody? You have like any networking things going on at work where you meet other musicians and whatnot?
Yeah, we actually have musicians constantly in our headquarters. Um, Sorry, just another call was coming through.
Yeah.
Uh, we have our artist relations team that's headquartered out of the same office, so we do have a lot of bands and artists that come through, which is cool. Um, and we even have like an artist, I guess, setup you could say. So there's some bands and artists that actually will have rehearsals at
Oh.
our, I guess, office, but that room doesn't look like an office. So it's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of people that come in and out. I've gotten to meet some cool people. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Where are you? What part of town are you living in?
I'm in Silver Lake Echo Park area, which is cool because it's a lot. It's where my band. It's where we play a lot of shows, and our lockout, our rehearsal spaces down here too. So it's kind of nice to have everything close to home. If I'm playing a late night show, it's easy to just go unload at the lockout and then drive 5 minutes back to my place. So
Wow, yeah, that's super convenient.
yeah, I mean, it would be like really convenient as if I could just, have a garage and back my car right into it in my own house. But this
Or
works for now.
or roadies, those are
Yeah,
always
that
nice.
that would be even better. Even better.
What was the last show that you played?
We just played actually with Blood Candy this last Saturday, and we played this kind of cool art space in downtown LA called Chewing Foil, and it was for some people might have heard of it. It's called Pear Space, which is
Hmm.
a kind of a DIY community. And so it was this festival that they put on to kind of pay tribute to all the DIY spaces that have gotten shut down or closed for various reasons. There was a bunch of bands. It was fun. We played like at I think 9 or 9:30 or something like that. But it was cool. It was like in an art space, and we were pretty loud. Our band, our music is pretty loud. The we might have been the loudest band of the night. So it was one of those gigs where you're like, but it was still a lot of fun.
That's cool. You have anything in the pipeline coming up?
We do. We actually, so we've been working on this new album. We finished recording it. It's mastered now. But I think we're gonna be releasing it probably early next year. We were trying to get it out this year, but we decided to shoot a music video, and that didn't happen until like kind of more recently. So we're trying to, time everything right. So we've been working on that. We do have a show, and I should totally know this because here we are on the, you know, talking, but I can't remember offhand exactly where it is. But it's not until next month. So we have a few weeks off. And we're kind of working on some stuff in between. So I should know that date, but I'm totally spacing out right now.
That's fine. I mean, you can text it to me later, and then I'll put it in like the description notes because
Okay.
for the I try as hard as possible to in the description put like anytime we're talking about something that might be vague, or even if it has a link or whatever to some other place, I'll try to put the link in there. I'll try to put like as much info as possible, so when
Okay,
people are
cool.
watching it, they can check it out and whatnot. But I
Uh,
do, before I start these questions, I do have some side business to talk to you about because remember um, a long time ago when I approached the Green Lady Killers about having some songs in a video game that I've been working on
yeah,
back
yeah,
then.
yeah. I remember.
So that video game, it kind of got kiboshed for a while, but we're actually reinvigorating that game again, and
Uh-huh.
we're starting to work on it. So um, I wanted to ask you, and then I guess this could be like an insight for all of my viewers to see like the other things that I do, because I usually just talk about drums.
Right.
And even though I just got a bad comment about me talking about myself, I'm gonna do it anyway. I don't care. Um, but yeah, so I've been working on this game for 3 or 4 years now, and now we're actually in a position where we're gonna start really taking it serious. So I want to know from you, uh, and it's totally up to you. You can do whatever you want. Would you rather have the Green Lady Killers in that video game, or would you rather have one of your newer bands?
Ah, I don't know. I think it would be cool to have the Green Lady Killers in it, but it might also be cool to have Blood Candy stuff in it. The music is a lot different, so maybe I should send you a couple songs and you could tell me what you think the better fit would be. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, but that's awesome. That's cool that you guys are working on that project again.
Yeah, yeah. So we're actually um, what kind of messed us up in the first go around was so we put the game into this contest and it made the top 10, but then it didn't like go further than that. And once uh, the contest was over and we didn't win anything, like half of our team just kind of stopped working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So um, now, actually, someone reached out to me to try to help me with this game, and they knew a company that would do a bunch of the stuff that these people would have done if they would have stayed on our team. So now we're going to start raising the money. I'm actually going to New York this weekend to film a Kickstarter video because we're going to do a Kickstarter.
Cool.
Um, so if we meet our funding goal, we're going to get it developed and coded and all of that like professionally so that it's a top tier game.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that'll probably take us to the end of the year, and then we got to test it and all of that, and then uh, by spring, summer next year it should come out. So who knows if your album comes out and it's a good fit, it might be like the timing might actually work.
Yeah. That's awesome, Kelly.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to make sure that we stay in touch and because definitely for sure, like the main thing I like about this game is that I'm trying to incorporate music and musicians that I know and I know are working hard because like especially like I was telling you in Philly, the music scene's like really bad. It sucks.
Right.
And I know LA music scene's always going and always there's always something. So, I want to keep that going as much as possible. If there's any way that I can help, like of course I'm going to do it. So, yeah, I want to make sure that there's like local music in that game.
That's
You know,
awesome.
to somehow tie myself back to LA.
Right, right. LA's still home, huh?
Yeah, yeah. We have our little girl and we've brought her back a couple of times now.
Aw,
And it just makes us really want to come back. Like
yes.
yeah.
Do you
So
think you guys eventually will?
we're actually trying to like we're looking. So
Cool.
my wife is trying to find a job out there, and I can pretty much do whatever I do anywhere.
Nice.
So it's really up to her if she can find something, and if she does, then yeah, well, we're on the first flight back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, fingers
So
crossed.
yeah, I hope so. But enough about me because I don't want to get any more bad comments. Let's get to these drum questions because I'm actually very curious to know what's in your drumming head
Okay.
and what's in your drumming repertoire. So, first of all, the question I always ask first is, how long have you been playing drums for?
Oh wow. I think I've been playing for like about 15 years,
Wow.
but maybe more seriously for the last 10 or so.
Okay. Well, what do you mean by that?
Uh, well, just I guess playing in bands and things like that,
Okay.
doing
So
shows, playing, with other people and things like that.
you obviously you started on the drums playing in bands back in Phoenix. Um, what what made you come out to LA?
Well, I guess it was kind of a combination of things. I always wanted to move to LA when I was a teenager. It just seemed like the cool place to be. And then my sister actually went to school out here, and I had one of my best friends, Justine. She moved out here as well when she was 17, and so I went back and forth a lot, and so I got to know the city a little bit and really fell in love with it. But then I ended up going to school back home in Phoenix. It was a lot cheaper to get that in-state tuition, and I ended up in my band, the Green Lady Killers, and it was kind of, I guess, kind of a joint decision. I told them I wanted to move like after I graduated, and that I thought, hey, would you guys want to move too? And see what, move with the band, see what happens. And at first they weren't really into it, but then I kind of, we started playing some shows out here and things like that. And our bassist at the time couldn't make it, but me and the singer slash guitarist Kathleen, she was down to do it. So moved out here. I guess you could say, I mean, it was kind of in my plan to do it, but it kind of worked out like with the band stuff too. And that's what happened.
Huh. So when I saw you first, uh, I think your bassist was Leah, right?
Yes.
So she wasn't from Phoenix?
No. So we met Leah after we moved out here.
Uh,
Um, we had a bunch of different bassists, but our longest bassist back home was our friend named Anne, and she recorded um, one of the albums with us just fine, and she was in the band. She was probably the longest bassist that we ever had in that band. So she was probably in the band for like maybe 4 years or something like that. She wasn't able to move out here though because she had some family stuff going on, and she's from Chicago originally and moved back to Chicago. So when we moved out here, we were looking for a bassist. We met a bunch of people, and then one of them being Leah, she was the best fit, and we all kind of like hit it off. So she ended up in the band.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, damn it. I had a question in line. I totally forgot it. I have like all these questions written. Those are like my standards, but once in a while a question will pop up while my guest is talking.
Right.
And so I have this technique that I try to do to like repeat it 3 times while you're talking. So I'm not repeating it all the time so I don't like lose what you're saying, but at the same time like I want to remember what I'm going to ask you. But
Right.
then I was so into what you were talking about, like I totally forgot what I was going to ask.
No worries. No worries.
Hopefully it'll come back to me. So okay, so I'm going to go to I did have another question. You said that um, when you wanted to move to LA, it was because you thought it was like such a cool, awesome place. It was the place to be. Do you feel the same way now?
I do. I still love it here in LA. I guess I could say after living here for almost 8 years, it can be a hard city to live in, definitely. There's a million awesome things about it, but sometimes it does feel hard to live here. Sometimes like the traffic is crazy, to get anywhere. And sometimes, every now and then you have one of those days you're sitting in traffic for like 2 hours or whatever it is, and you're like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is this? You know? But at the end of the day, I still really love it. My sister's out here too, because she ended up moving. for school to Chicago, and then ended up coming back. So it's cool to have her here out here too. Met some great people. But yeah, this town, it can be a little hard sometimes, because everybody's out here for something, you know.
Yeah.
But there's, I think that at least for me, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and I've kind of found like if people, because there's a lot of people not from LA that are living out here. If you can get past that like 3-year mark, you might be meant to be out here.
Huh. Yeah, that's it's so strange to me because, growing up there and living there and being from there, um, yeah, I've met so many people that are from, not from LA,
Hmm.
and quite a few of them have gone and then moved back. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think whether it was within the 3-year period that you're talking about, or more or less, or whatever. I can't really gauge time. I was actually talking to someone yesterday about how as you get older, time starts to like mesh, and
Yeah.
things that feel like was yesterday was actually last week, and vice versa, and it like all just gets jumbled up.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, if you were to ask me like how long people stay there and move back, like it's what I'm trying to say is it's weird that to me that you put the 3 years. Like I'm wondering if that's like actually there's something to it.
I mean, it's like not a scientific statement, but maybe sort of.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a period where people will go out there and be like, "Oh yeah, this isn't for me," and move back. They'll give
Yeah,
it a good like college try, and then
for sure.
like, cool. Well, I hope to get back there because it's home. I think that's the thing. Like a lot of people when they go out there, and maybe things don't go their way, they start missing home. Kind of
Yeah.
like how I'm missing home right now. So, huh.
Yeah. I think you're right, actually.
Okay. Well, okay. So I want you to become Dr. Frankenstein right now.
Okay.
And uh, rather than tell me, I don't want you to put you on the spot and say, who's your favorite drummer? Because that's like so hard to say just like right on the spot. So
Right.
instead, I asked this question kind of like in parts. So if you could take someone's hands, someone's feet, someone's brain, and then someone else's heart and soul, like what monster drummer would you create?
Oh my God. Um, okay. So one of my all-time favorite drummers is Josh Freese for like modern
Great.
rock. Um, so maybe I would take his hands. Uh, I love John Bonham, so maybe I'd take his head
Okay.
and maybe heart. Um, I really like the drummer from Arctic Monkeys, Matt Hellner. I think I like he's not like a super like fancy drummer, doesn't do a lot of fancy things, but he's like super solid and I just really like his style.
Okay.
I don't know where that fits in to the Frankenstein. Maybe overall vibe or something like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Um and then there's a drummer named Samantha Maloney that I have a lot of respect for. Um maybe that would be the heart and soul, and maybe it would be Bonham's head.
Okay. Cool. That's an awesome monster drummer.
It's different. And I guess there's
Yeah.
always Danny Carey, who's like amazing
Yeah. Of course.
with the feet. I'll take his feet.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to take his feet too.
Right? It's like, is he even human? I don't know.
Yeah, he must be one of those rare drummers that are that like good at math.
Totally. I guarantee you he's good at math.
Yeah, that Asian gene skipped me for some reason.
Me
I'm not
too.
good.
Me too. And get this, my dad was an actual literal mathematician, and
Really?
I still didn't get. Maybe it's being half. I don't know.
Oh. No, because I'm not half and I still didn't get it.
See, there goes that theory. Must be a drummer thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he must have he lucked out. So, oh well, at least you can make a Frankenstein monster drummer with his feet.
Right?
Okay, so what type of sticks do you use? Do you use wood or nylon tip?
I use wood tip, and I
Any
use
reason?
I just like the way they feel. I guess I've used nylon tip too, but I tend to go for the wood tip, and I use mainly Vic Firth SD9 drivers.
Cool. All right.
And the reason is because there's my dog again. They they're like longer than the average stick, and they're fat, but they're not heavy because they're made out of maple.
Mm.
And so I can still get some power behind it, but it's not heavy like a 2B or something. It's even lighter, I think, than a 5B. I could be wrong, but it's a pretty lightweight stick, but it's still like pretty fat.
Cool. That's awesome. I might have to check those out.
Yeah, I love them. I've been playing them, gosh, probably for like 10 years or something.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to make a note somewhere and put that in the description so people can check it out.
I love them.
Cool. Okay. What about pedals? Do you use a double or a single pedal?
I use a single pedal. I use two. I kind of switch between two different ones. I've got a DW 9000 and then a DW 5000.
Ah, okay. So why switch?
Well, actually, it's out of to admit it, like it's kind of out of laziness. So I keep the 5000 in my car for gigs,
Okay.
and then I've got the 9000 in my lockout.
Do you have a preference?
I think overall, I mean, they're both great pedals. Don't get me wrong. I like both, or I wouldn't be using both of them. But I think overall, I do like the 9000 a little bit more. It's just maybe a little bit smoother, but
Yeah.
they both feel super solid. Like they're both awesome pedals.
Yeah, I think when looking back, I've played a 9000 a couple of times. I have a 5000
Use a five.
single pedal,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a 3000. I think it's a 3000 double pedal.
Okay.
Uh, for some reason, I just don't like to go all out on equipment,
Mm-hmm.
especially when like the 3000 to me works just fine. So I don't
That
necessarily.
one have the single chain or the double?
It's a single chain, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So like, I mean, it's a DW, so it's good,
Mm-hmm.
but when you compare it to the 9000, then I mean the 9000 is like driving a Porsche, and the
Yeah.
3000 is like driving a Toyota Tercel or something. But I can still get around, so
I
it
have
works fine for me.
Yeah, the three. I've got a 3000 hi hat stand. I've got a couple different hi hat stands, but I have a 3000 hi hat stand and also a couple 3000 boom stands. So
Okay.
that line's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, it's I'm happy with it. So I mean, if someone gave me a 9000, I would probably use that over the 3000, but
right.
3000 is just fine for me. So yeah, why a single pedal? Why not a double pedal?
I mean, I don't play. It's playing double pedal something I've wanted to learn and I just never have. So I just need the single pedal. And
Mm.
I think for the music that I'm playing right now, it does make sense. I mean, playing double's always been on my list just to have it in my bag in case I need it, but I just never learned it to be honest.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to start learning. Like I think when I was a kid, played along to Primus and Tool, and they use a lot of double bass. But then
Yep.
once I actually started playing in bands, I never needed it. Like I was never in metal bands or anything, so
Yeah.
yeah, like there was a good probably 10 years where I didn't use a double pedal, but now all I do is play covers, so most of the cover, well, no, about half of the covers need some sort of double bass, like even if it's just like a quick triplet thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's usually, but when, just like you, when I was in bands, I never needed a double pedal.
Well, maybe if you guys move back here, you can teach me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that good, so you
You're
might want
fine.
to find someone else to teach you double. I'll tell you everything I know, and then you'll probably learn what I know in about a couple of hours, and then you
I
can.
don't know about that, Kelly.
Okay, so let's see. Here's one that I'm interested because you work for Roland,
Hmm.
and now you're playing in a band that uses triggers and is a little bit more high tech. Do you use a metronome, or do you rely on your internal clock, or do you use a little bit of both?
Funny that you ask. So I have definitely used a metronome, uh, like in the studio. I've used it to practice a lot, especially in my old project, the Green Lady Killers. I used to practice a lot to metronome. Um, and most of the other projects I've been part of, the interestingly, the band didn't want many of those bands didn't want me playing to a metronome, so that's cool. And I've worked in the studio using a metronome or not using a metronome. Now that I'm playing with triggers and I'm doing this hybrid thing, so I've got the spd-sx sample pad I'm running all of the sounds from and then triggering that stuff. And since so in, I'm playing to backing tracks, if you will, for both projects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is click track because there has to be some sort of point of reference
Yeah.
for you know, because we're playing to tracks, and when there's breakdowns or stops and things like that, there has to be a point of reference in order to keep in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean,
It,
I would imagine you're used to it now, but was there a point where you had to kind of get used to it?
oh yeah. I mean, the first time I ever played to click track was, I think, back in 2006 when Green Lady Killers recorded our first EP. And the band had told me they wanted me to do that in the studio. And so I bought a metronome and I really hated it. And so I didn't practice much with it. And by the way, that first recording of that was my first real studio experience, and it was like a total learning experience, because what I realized was, yeah, if that was the plan, I should have definitely been practicing my ass off with the metronome. So when I got in the studio and I was like really cocky, I thought I was just gonna yeah, I know these songs. We play all these shows. We play these 5 songs all the time. I know them inside and out. Well, when you added in the click track, it was a whole nother story. So it took me days to knock out those 5 songs on drums, and it was a battle. Like, it was a battle between me and the click track. And like after that experience, I got a lot better with it, and I learned how I work best with it, which for me, and everybody has what they prefer and what they don't. I need to have it cranked in my ear, which it took me a long time to figure that out, because I hated it at first because it's just so repetitive and it's, in your ears the whole time. I hated it. But once I figured out how I worked best with it, which wasn't immediate, I kind of, this is going to sound like super geeky, but I kind of fell in love with it because it was just kind of fun to practice to and or practice with, because once I figured out how to play with it and everything, you can't really hear it when you're right on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're exactly in time, you actually can't hear it. So by the time we recorded our next album, which I think was like in 2008 or something, um, I was like totally down with the clique, and it was more of a friend than an enemy. So now at this point, like I can jump right in or out of it. It's not that hard for me anymore. Um, because before we added these backing tracks with Blood Candy, and really the reason was because the members in my band, it's two guitarists and one of the guitarists sings. We needed bass and synth, and we just couldn't find the right bassist, you know. And where am I going with this? Well, oh, so for like the first year playing with this project, we didn't use a click at all. And then once we started with the backing tracks, we realized we had to, and it was really easy for me to just jump right into it because I lost my metronome a couple of years ago and just never really replaced it because the projects I'd been playing with didn't really prefer it, and instead I just kind of got lazy and I just didn't really practice with it anymore, so I never replaced it. But yeah, when we added it, it was pretty easy for me to just jump into it because I've had those experiences a few years back.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
isn't that like so crazy how that all works out? Where you like hate it, and it's almost like it's not the metronome. It's actually you. You know, like
yeah,
you have to work your own battles because the
yeah, no,
metronome is this objective thing,
totally.
and you're the one that has to kind of like morph yourself into it.
Yep. That took me a while. Like it didn't come easy, and it was a definite battle, but I figured it out.
That's awesome. That's such a cool story. It's one of those stories where like that's the crux of a good story is the hero has issues, and the story takes you on this journey where the hero works out its issues, and there's a happy ending at the end. So that's really cool.
The happy ending happened a little later, but yeah, I got there.
Awesome, man. I mean, that's the perseverance story. That's like the human journey, right? Is to
Yeah.
always like better yourself, and never quit. That's the whole thing. Don't quit, because you never
Totally.
know. I've said this a couple of times to some of the guys that I've interviewed before. You never know when you're right at the doorstep of success. Like, I'm sure there's so many people that are trying to do something, trying to attain something, some sort of goal or whatever, and they're like right at the door, and they quit, and they never know that maybe the next day they could have like found success.
True.
So to me, like, my whole thing is, I always like, if there's something that I want, I go out and I try to get it, and I keep going, because I never you never know when you're gonna hit that that when you're gonna cross that finish line.
Exactly. I
So
agree.
it's cool. I'm glad you persevered and you stuck with it, and now like it's your friend. That's such an awesome story.
Yeah, me too. Because I have to tell you, it wasn't easy, but it is nice now to be able to like when I'm playing music, if the band wants me to use it, I can, or I don't have to. It's either way is good with me.
That's cool. I mean, it goes such a long way for, and this is gonna be in the next section too. I have a feeling, but it goes a long way for a working drummer. To be able to do one or the other, both, and just be as versatile as you can possibly be.
Totally. That I feel like as a drummer, that's kind of our job. We want to
Yeah.
be versatile, and because we're not really the star, but we're there to help the band sound as good as it can.
Yeah, like, we aren't the star. We're, kind of like the guys behind the guys,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, there's a lot less of us than guitar players and singers and whatnot.
Yep.
So the more versatile we can be, the more work we're gonna find.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. If you could play on any one famous drummer's kit, whose would it be?
Josh Freese.
Josh Freese.
Yeah.
You like those DWs?
I love DWs. Definitely love the DWs.
Awesome. Have like, yeah. Now that I remember, that's all I know that you've had. Have you ever had anything else?
Actually, do have another kit. I still have my DW, and I will always have it. I love that kit. I ended up winning a drum set, which is totally crazy because I never win like raffles or like things like that. I never win them. And when I was working at Guitar Center out here, they had this raffle for this cool little Gretsch kit. It's nothing fancy, but it's like a kit that I actually had on layaway when I worked at GC stores back in Phoenix, but I never really had the money to, really buy the kit. I just had it on layaway because I thought it looked cool. And when I saw it in the raffle, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the same! It's that same kit." So I entered it, and I actually won that drum kit. It's the first time
What?
I had ever won a raffle in my entire life. So now I have that drum set. It's my lucky kit. It's definitely not as nice as the DW. It's a lower grade kit, but it's kind of become my gig kit. Like if we're playing like, like some crappy bar or a place that may not be as nice or whatever. But I've actually even brought it to nicer gigs, and it, like, with the right heads and everything, it sounds awesome. So it's kind of become my lucky kit, but I still definitely have the DW. That's my true love.
Man, that's another awesome story. It was like meant to be. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. I couldn't believe I won that drum kit. I mean, it was the only raffle I've ever won in my life.
Man, that's awesome. And I guess that like it would also come in handy if I'm sure in LA things haven't changed where uh people like the schedules and the people are always gonna want like someone that's gonna have a backline. So,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That has not changed. Yeah. So I do bring that kit if that's the situation for sure.
multiple players on the kit. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. I mean, that's wow. That's two awesome stories in a row. I mean, I'm the one winning the raffle here. That's really cool. Okay. Let's see. What else do we got? Okay. Oh, that's right. Do you prefer to be on the stage or in the studio?
Hmm. Two very different things. I have to say I love them both for different reasons. But if I had to pick one or the other, I think I'd pick the stage.
Okay. Uh, any reason?
There's something about playing live that I guess you could say I'm kind of addicted to. I live for gigs. I love playing live music. Um, it just gives me a, sounds cheesy, but just like the best feeling. I there's something about it that it's just like so energizing, and I could have the worst day in the world, and if I have a gig that night, I'm probably gonna be ending the day like on a very happy note. I also love the studio too. It's so different. I love um, the creative freedom and building something. Not to sound cheesy, it's almost like making a like painting a painting. You everybody has their ideas, and it's all coming together and creating what you're in there to do. So I even though I would choose live shows, I still really love working in the studio.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a hard question.
It is.
Well, it's a good thing you don't have to choose. You could do both.
True.
Okay. Last question on this drumming section. Why? Why drums?
Well, if you really want to know, as a little kid, I used to watch a lot of like music videos and bands, and I just always thought the drummer looked the coolest. in the videos, especially like live performance, and you got to hit stuff, which seemed even cooler. So that was like literally my reasoning for picking drums.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I just want to know, like, what can you put your fingers on what it was that you thought drummers looked cooler than the other guys in the band?
It was like the way they sat behind the kit and would just like rock out. They'd be like just back there like playing. I don't know. I just thought they always looked the coolest and like they were having the most fun.
Huh. Any drummers in particular that you could think of, or was it just like in general?
It was just kind of in general, like watching VH1 and MTV and all that. I just always thought they looked so badass back there, like keeping it down, you know. And drums just look cool. Not that guitars didn't, but it all just seems so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I would draw a lot, and I would draw stages with the equipment and whatnot. And my favorite was always drawing the drum set. So kind of similar, where like I thought the gear wise, the drums were like so much cooler than guitars or
Totally, and you have
bass.
so many different pieces, which now that I'm gigging a lot, it's like, man, I have all this stuff. You don't think about that, you know, until you're actually gigging. But I was like, you know, you have one guitar. Well, drummers have like, you know, all these drums up there. It's so much cooler.
Yeah.
Now I'm
And to
like,
be able
man,
to
how
like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say now at this point in life, I'm like, how can I make this kit smaller so that I have less stuff to carry tonight?
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I'm glad those days are kind of actually behind me because,
Yeah, it's a lot of physical work.
yeah, like especially at the end of the night, like,
Oh my god, I
I
know.
love setting up. Setting up is great. And
Mhm.
then playing the show is even greater.
Yep.
But then you gotta, like, take it all down. And it's kind of like the walk of shame.
It is. I know. And you're like, oh, this is the glamorous part as you're like unloading at 3 o'clock in the morning by yourself. It's like, here I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all part of the love, right?
It
It's
is.
a
It's
labor of love. Cool. Okay, well, I want to get to this next section where I am looking for an employee and you're looking for a job.
okay.
So, this first question that I ask is going to set the premise for all the rest of the questions. So, once I ask the question, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What is your dream job?
My dream job would be to make money, make a living, playing music I love.
Okay. So, all these other questions that I'm going to ask, answer as if you're applying for this dream job, being a musician full time.
Okay.
Okay, so what are your strengths?
My strengths are I'm versatile. Um oh my god, I'm not prepared for these questions. I'm easy to work with. I am reliable and responsible. I can
That's a
show up
good
on
one.
I can show up on time. Um and I want to play in a way that's going to make the band sound good and not necessarily just play what I want to be playing.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah, so I would say 8 out of 10 of the people that I've interviewed so far, their answer was to play music for a living as well. And I kind of, with that in mind, these questions are kind of like geared to kind of always have you prepared for the unknown. Because I know, for instance, that I don't know about now, but back when I was playing a lot, guys like Zach De La Rocha would be just like wandering around all different parts of LA at any given moment. Like I've run into him maybe 4 or 5 different occasions, and he's just like a super chill, cool guy. And you never know what can happen. Like sometimes, I mean, if you sell yourself right, you might land like the perfect gig, and you just never know when that might happen. So to for me to ask these questions, it's almost like it exposes your preparedness for a situation like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though you're saying you're not prepared, like you already know like what your strengths are. So to me, that's like a great sign. But I also want to know what your weaknesses are.
My weaknesses would be my lack of double bass skills, just to be real. Um, that's a big one. I I mean, my chops could always be better, you know. I'm not a jazz drummer. Something I'm always trying to work on. Um, and what else? I guess I'm just always trying to become a better drummer. You know, I would not say that I'm like the best drummer in the world, but I'm willing to like work hard and put in my best to get better, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's good to know that you're always willing to improve, and I think that's kind of what every drummer goes through, no matter what level they're at. They're always trying to improve. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years,
Yeah.
um, I would love to have my own like studio setup, not necessarily for recording, but you know, back home in Phoenix, you could I'd have like a whole house and wouldn't have to have like a separate lockout. I'd love to have
Mm.
everything easily accessible where I live. To have some sort of
Yeah.
studio setup. Um, and I mean, I'd love to say that it'd be great to know I'd be on some amazing tour, making some money, playing music that I love. You know, that's the ultimate dream.
All right. How about any mentors? Do you not like superstar like Hollywood or music stars or anything, but do you have any like personal mentors that have helped you along the way?
I do. I have a couple actually. This guy named Richie Pendanik. He was my mentor when I worked at Guitar Center. He was an amazing drummer. He passed away just a couple of years ago, but he really helped me with learning to be more versatile. He always had really good advice about being in bands and, you know, like you said earlier, like don't give up, stick with it. You never know. Pretty much everything you were just saying. You never know when success might be right around the corner. Don't give up. Um, he had an amazing like arsenal of drum gear because he was an executive at Guitar Center for many years, and I had the privilege of he would when I would do recording sessions he would bring tons of stuff and let me pick out what I wanted out of his stuff to bring to the session. Um, he was just an all around great guy. So not just a drum mentor, but also like with my day job and my career, just always giving awesome advice. Um, there was another guy I met while working there named Randy Pratt. He also passed away just last year. Um, but he introduced me to so many people when I worked at Guitar Center, so many drummers, and because we work, with all the brands, DW, Pearl, Zildjian. He really took me under his wing and introduced me to just everybody, and kind of in a way like jump started my career. So I'll always be grateful for him. Um, And this might sound cheesy, Kelly, but you kind of were in a certain way too, because I'm pretty self-taught, as you know, but um our short time together, like I feel like I learned so much, and I started looking at things in a different way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Right? Right?
Yeah, well, that's good because that makes me feel good because my uncle, I learned a lot from him, not so much like playing wise, but more of how to like uh, carry yourself and conduct yourself as a musician.
Hmm?
So for me to be able to pass that along to somebody else, uh, yeah, that probably is a lot more meaningful to me than teaching someone how to shred or play some sort of fill or whatever.
Yeah.
Because anyone can go on YouTube and learn how to dissect the fill, and that's like so easy to do. But what's hard is to learn how to conduct yourself and be a good person to work with, and
Hmm.
just know what to look for in a bandmate and in different situations and whatnot. That's what's going to get you from one gig to the next, or from one studio gig to the next, or whatever. Um, Obviously, chops means a lot, but so
Definitely.
does, your personality and your character and all that. So,
Yep.
to me, that's what I kind of have to offer. Uh, and I hope, yeah, yeah, it seems like, from the way you're saying, I was able to help with that. So that's cool. I'm glad.
Definitely. You definitely did.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's it for the job related questions. Hopefully, some big time musician is watching this and wants to hire you as their drummer.
I'm here. I'm available.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I can vouch for you. You're an awesome person and an awesome drummer with not only a good drummer chops wise, but you have great stage presence. You have like this presence to you when you play. And I think that's another intangible that you need to have as a drummer.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right, so let's get to these questions that are more like get to know you questions, the fun questions that don't necessarily have to do with music, but more just like everyday life type of things. The first one, are you a meat eater or a vegetarian?
I am a meat eater.
Great.
Although
Uh,
I have been a vegetarian in the past. But yeah, I'm a meat eater.
what why did you stop being a vegetarian?
I stopped. I mean, basically, I realized. I mean, I did it because I felt I'm an animal lover. I felt bad about it from like an ethical standpoint, eating meat. But then I realized I had all this leather stuff, leather jackets, boots, belts, and one day I was just like, man, I feel like a hypocrite because I'm not eating meat to make this statement and, well, not make a statement, but to try to, not eat animals. But here I am, like, wearing all this leather. And I was like, honestly, I'm not going to get rid of it. But I respect, everybody, and everybody chooses, the path that they're going to choose. I think it's great if people are vegan or vegetarian, but I'm not right now.
you know, um, I was vegan for the same reasons. Like, I avoided meat, I avoided leather, I avoided all of that.
Hmm.
But I came to the conclusion that um, the the animals are already dead.
True.
So, in a way, to eat their meat, to use their products, it's almost more of like an homage to them, so that their lives weren't wasted.
Hmm.
So while I won't ever like you know don't be vegan, or don't I'm never gonna judge anybody. Like, you can be whatever you want to be, but for me, actually, I think that using the products that come from animals that have already died, that will keep on, like, no matter what, humans are always going to eat meat. We're not going to stop the
Mm-hmm.
production of meat. So if they're already doing that and they're already dead, they're already, like, I don't want that to go to waste.
Right.
So that's my whole thing. And if that, hopefully that helps with your conscious of eating meat.
I do feel bad about it. Like, I mean, I live like right down the street from PETA, and they always have those sad billboards. Like, I think about it. I try to eat meat more responsibly too, like
Yeah.
buying the free range and certified humane stuff. I do have guilt about it, but I'm still eating meat.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much that you can do, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, as long as you're conscious about it and you actually care about the animals, like that goes a long way, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, how about when you go on vacation, do you like to go camping or do you like to stay in a hotel?
I definitely want to stay in a hotel. I'm not into camping.
All right. Good. That's good. Yeah, I'm the same way. I used to
Yeah.
love camping, but yeah, not anymore.
I mean, I've done a lot of camping in my life. That's definitely how we grew up. Like that was our vacations, and maybe that's why. But
Mm,
I just definitely want to be in a hotel.
nice. Okay. What about coffee or tea?
Coffee, but
Coffee.
I do like tea, but I'm a total coffee addict. So for me, tea would be like secondary.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Dogs, but I do also love cats. I've had cats, but yeah, I'm a dog person.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. If you could invite anyone, dead or alive, to dinner, who would it be?
It'd probably be my grandfather on my dad's side because I never got to meet him, and I've always been pretty curious. Like, cause I've heard a lot of stories. Just what was he really like, and it'd be cool to just actually meet him.
Yeah. Wow. Well, do you mind sharing like a quick story
Sure. You mean about?
about your grandpa? Anything that you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, so on my dad's side, my grandparents were from China, and they came here separately. It was kind of like this arranged marriage. My grandma came out here by herself when she was 16 to San Francisco, and then she was, because like arranged marriages were pretty normal back then over there, and my grandpa like picked her out of like these photographs, and it's kind of funny because the story goes that he picked her from this group of different photographs because she was holding a book. So he thought, oh,
Oh.
she's smart, but turns out she actually couldn't read back then. So it was like a prop. So he came to Phoenix, and I don't exactly know how they, like, if he picked her up or how that all went down, but they ended up in Phoenix and owned this little grocery store in South Phoenix. And my dad and my aunts and uncle, they all lived, that's where they all lived, and they all worked and helped out with the store growing up. So I just think it'd be pretty cool to like meet him and just have a conversation and hear some more stories.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know what you believe or anything about an afterlife or whatever, but I hope one day that can happen.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Cool. That's awesome. I love little tidbits like that where it just kind of like comes out organically, and I had no idea, all of this like cool stuff that's coming out. Yeah, like that's the kind of thing that happens when you sit down and and you talk with people. You find out more about them and how
Totally.
interesting they are. Um, do you have, or no, sorry, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh wow. Biggest pet peeve. I really can't stand it when people jump the gun. Like, I want everything to be ready to go. You know what I mean? Might be partially because of my job, being in marketing. Final files or somebody
Oh yeah.
posting something that's not finalized and there's like errors in it and things like that. Or I don't know, but I guess that is one of my big pet peeves.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. Um, let's see. How would your best friend describe you?
I don't know. Crazy? Just kidding. Um, maybe as patient?
Okay.
I don't know actually. I've never really thought about that one.
Yeah, that's I always kind of wonder. I think I have a good idea, but yeah, you just never know with people.
Exactly. Especially knowing my best friends. Like, I don't know. What would they really say?
Yeah. I know it'd be a bunch of jokes at the beginning, but then,
Mm-hmm.
once
That,
they get serious, hopefully it's all good stuff.
that's what I'm hoping.
Cool. I don't know if you drink soda, but if you do, are you a Coke or a Pepsi girl?
I don't drink a lot of soda, but definitely Coke.
Okay, cool.
How about you?
Um, I'm a Coke person. Like if they say, "Oh, if I'm in a restaurant, they say, "Oh, is Pepsi okay?" I'm not gonna be like, "No." I'm
Right.
gonna definitely drink it. But
Right,
yeah,
right.
if I was at the store and I had to get some soda, I would definitely pick out Coke.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Cool. Do you stick to routines or do you kind of go with the flow?
To tell you the truth, I think I'm a little bit of both. Um,
Okay.
like I do stick to routines, but I can be very go with the flow. And I think the go with the flow has come from I've had so many different roommates throughout life, and I've been in a lot of different bands, and I think you have to kind of become adaptable like when you're dealing with so many different kinds of people and like personalities and things like that. I
Yeah.
also was like part of my high school I was like in a boarding school, so I was living with like 30 different girls too at that point.
Wow.
um but I do have routines that I stick to also. So I don't know if you can really be both, but I think I might be.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I have certain routines that I do, but I also like to go with the flow also. It's all part of being versatile and adaptable,
Exactly,
right?
adaptable. Totally.
Cool. Okay. Do you have a favorite book?
Wow. Just to be honest, I don't read as much as I should or as much as I'd like to. Um, for some reason, this question is catching me off guard. I would say, oh man, let's come back to that one.
Okay. Okay, keep it in the back of your mind.
Okay.
What about movies? Any favorite movies?
Um, actually love Quentin Tarantino movies, as cliche as that sounds. My favorite two are probably Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like Tarantino. I like
Yeah,
Kill Bill. That's my favorite one.
I love Kill Bill. Did you like the first or second one better?
I don't. I kind of just like whenever I watch one, I gotta watch the other.
Yeah, they're both really good.
Yeah.
Love them.
Cool. Where was favorite food? Do you have a favorite food?
I have many favorite foods, but I guess if I had to pick one, it'd probably be pizza.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I know I'm in a group of a handful of YouTube drummers where we're in a WhatsApp group and we all always talk and whatnot. And every day someone is always eating pizza. So it's a
Pizza's good.
thing. Have you been to, oh, I'll get to that question, but this is a more focused question. Have you ever been to New York?
Yes.
So have you had pizza in New York?
Yes.
Do you remember what spot you went to?
I actually don't remember what specific spot we went to, but I feel like I've been in a lot of those like low key $2 pizza plate, like $2 a slice places. And I don't know if I ever had bad pizza. Like it was always like awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's the thing with New York is it doesn't really matter where you go. Like it's always good.
Yeah.
Um, but if you ever get a chance to go back, there's two places that I really recommend. There's Artichoke Pizza, which
Okay.
is unbelievable,
Okay.
and it's like super huge. So all you have to do is get one slice, and you're like, you probably have leftovers. It's so big.
Wow. Okay. Got it.
Um, and then check out. Now I don't know if they're still open. If they are, the main guy is probably not working there anymore, but it's still good. It's deep in Brooklyn. It's called Defara.
Defara?
Defara, yeah, it's
Okay.
amazing, unbelievable. It's the best pizza that I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah, it's
All
it's
right.
it's like when they say, "Oh, you have New York pizza to blow your mind." This one blew my mind. It was
Oh
so
my
good.
God. I feel like I need it.
Yeah, yeah. If I could like just have everyone taste that pizza, like that would be the one pizza that I would say you have to have.
Yes. It is definitely on my list now.
Cool. All right. I gotta put that on my uh description. Defara. Okay. Did you have a favorite subject in school?
Yeah, I loved art, but ironically, I'm not very good at it. Like visual art. I also loved music class, but we didn't have that much of it. Um, and I also loved PE.
Huh.
So
Any specific sport or activity?
actually, yeah, I was big into sports as a kid growing up. So basketball was my big one, and I played a lot of softball too.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's awesome. Did you ever hit any home runs?
Many.
Nice.
I was like the cleanup batter for it.
Oh, wow, look at you.
This is a long time ago.
You ever like think about joining like a beer league or anything?
I kind of did. I thought it might be kind of fun, you know. I have. I've never done it though.
Hmm. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I
Yeah.
play beer league hockey and it's like such a cool thing to kind of separate from the art and the music and all of
Mhm.
that stuff. Just to be able to like go out there and you know when you're playing, you're not really thinking so much. You're just kind of reacting, you're reading and reacting and you're using your body and it's just a totally different experience. And I always like try to say, you know, like drumming is great, but do some sort of like sport too, because
Yeah.
one, it's different. So you're using different parts of your body. Two, you start to realize how you can the like they relate to each other also.
Mhm.
A lot of things that happen in the hockey world also happen in the music and the drum world and
Mhm.
vice versa. So it's just strange how that all happens.
Yeah, yeah. I played for work like a couple years ago. We did a softball game, and I hadn't played since I was a kid, and I had a blast. It was so much fun. So that's kind of what got me thinking about maybe joining something. I just haven't done it, so maybe I should.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Like I didn't know you had a sports side to you, so I would love to play some softball with you. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Um, oh, yeah, that's right. I wanted to ask you this. Have you traveled anywhere fun lately? And if so, where? If not, do you have any plans to go anywhere fun in the near future?
I did just go on a trip last weekend to San Diego. So nowhere really that far, but that's the last trip I went on. It was fun. It was a family trip, like with my mom. My boyfriend Pete was there, my sister and her husband, and my little niece, which was awesome. And my mom's girlfriend came too. So we went for like 3 nights. We go every year for my mom's birthday, so it was like the annual trip. We've been doing it for like 25 years actually, because in
Wow.
Arizona, everybody goes to San Diego in the summer because it's so hot and it's like
Yeah.
a 6 hour or 5 hour drive or whatever. So we've always kind of just kept that tradition going. So that's like a trip that I look forward to all year, even though it's like, 3 hours away from LA. It's nothing that big of a deal, but we always stay in the same hotel and like go to the same restaurants and things like that. So it's pretty cool. And I do have a fun trip coming up. It's another family trip for Thanksgiving. We're going to Hawaii for the first time as a family. I've
Nice.
My boyfriend and I've gone a couple times just like on our own, and we love it there. It's like so awesome. So this will be the first time going like with my mom and sister and my niece. Like our whole family will be there. So really looking forward to that.
So yeah, so that brings up something else that I wanted to talk to you about because you've been to Maui a couple of times.
Yeah.
I love going to Maui. My wife and I go every year.
Mhm.
So you stay at the Andaz, right?
Yeah. Love
Is
that place.
that's your like go-to hotel out there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Although this year, with my mom and stuff, I've only been to Maui so far. So we're gonna go to Turtle Bay
Oh,
this
okay.
time. So it'll be like a new, because I haven't been to that island, so see how it goes. But my mom and my sister picked it, and so I was like, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can
I'm
go
like, not
wrong.
gonna complain. I'm down for that. But yeah, the Andes is like super nice. That's definitely become like our spot. Been trying to go once a year. We've gone twice now. So
Cool. So you like the that's in Wailea. You like the Wailea area?
yeah, love it.
Have you gone up to like what other parts of the island have you gone to?
We checked out, how do you say it? Is it Paia or Paia? Have you guys gone up there? It's like a little town, maybe 15 miles from where the hotel was. It's pretty
So
cool.
you're either talking about Lahaina or Kaanapali?
I don't know. I think it was like Paia.
Oh, Paia.
Yeah,
Yeah, Paella.
Paia.
Yeah, that's kind of like over more towards the north side near the airport and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds awesome. It's like a little old town sort of.
Totally. It was like super cute.
Yeah. Um, so have you gone to Mama's Fish House in Paella?
We never made it, although it was on our list the two times that we went. We just never made it for some like dumb reason. We had a reservation and like the timing didn't work out. But I've been dying to go there because everybody says that's the spot.
It is the spot.
Yep.
So
See?
once you go there, you will make time to go there every other time you go.
That's what everybody says. Yeah, I got to go there.
So okay, so what? Why didn't you go there? What other spots were you guys going to?
Well, we ended up just kind of being like super mellow and just not doing a lot, which was good because that was the point of the trip, was to like really wind down and not just be really chill, you know what I mean? But really we just did a lot of like we went snorkeling, we did do a lot of beach stuff. My boyfriend Pete is a super into fishing, and so because Hawaii's like so cool, you just pull over on the side of the road and there, you have like a whole beach to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like lay out and he's like doing his fishing thing. We're just like chilling, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love it. I wish I was there right now.
Of
It's
course.
like the happy spot.
Yeah, yeah, that's my wife and I's happy spot. We actually we love it there so much we went and got a timeshare there. So it's
Really?
kind of like our excuse to go every year. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, we so okay, so if you're you does Leia, I would say continue to, because if you ever go up the beach to Kanapali, they have a Hyatt Regency there,
Okay,
and that's where we stayed the first time we went.
got
And
it.
when you stay at the Hyatt Regency and you sign up for the credit card and you do all the points and all of that stuff,
Mhm.
they tell you, oh, come to one of our not seminars, presentations,
Mhm.
and you'll get like 10,000 points added to your credit card. So we're like, okay, well, yeah, I want 10,000 points. That's a maybe like a night or two free at a
Right.
hotel. So the presentation was their Hyatt residency at Kanapali.
Mhm.
And so we went through that whole thing and we are like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool to have the the Hyatt residency there? So whatever, we just like was like, oh, we're just dreaming and whatnot. So the next year we went and we actually ended up buying one of the timeshares at the Hyatt residency.
That's
So that's
awesome.
our timeshare, and it's amazing. It's like we get a week there, and then usually with the points and all of that, we end up like staying another 4 or 5 days. Like last year, we stayed our week, and then we stayed 4 days at the Andas.
Nice.
And yeah, as soon as we're uh, back home, we can't wait to get back there for
That's
the
how
next.
we feel too. It's like I'm like, man, I can't believe I've only gone twice. Like, why did I wait so long to go? You know, I love Hawaii. It's just so amazing.
Yeah, it's so chill, and
Yeah, it's so chill.
the people are so friendly and nice. The food
Totally.
is awesome.
Oh yeah, and everything's so beautiful. You know, whenever when I came back to LA, I'm like, man, everything feels so dirty here. You know,
Yeah,
these nasty beaches.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's literally when they say it's paradise, it's paradise.
Yep, 100%.
There's no like the weather is always the same, 80 degrees.
Perfect.
Yeah, oh, I
I
want
know
to be
the
there too.
water. It's like so blue, and it's like clear. It's awesome.
Yeah, and especially in Wailea, there's so much to do. Like all the beaches, they have so many things that you can do there. Like they
Mm.
have these things that my wife and I did one year. They're called clear bottom kayaks. So at
Oh
the
wow.
bottom of the kayak, they have like it's glass, so
Oh
you
my
could like
god.
see all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. It's
Awesome.
it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So next time
That's
you
so
guys are out there, check it out.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, and it's right in Turtle Bay, a different Turtle Bay than what you guys are going to.
Okay.
So Maui's version of Turtle Bay, and
Gotcha.
there's like all these sea turtles. So they're like literally swimming underneath you, and you can see them like swimming, and it's like so
That's so
cool.
cool. Yeah, I got to do that.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I think that's pretty much all the questions. Now the only one left is, what's your favorite book?
Oh my god. Hmm. Thinking.
I'll let you get away with Modern Drummer if that's what
Oh
you
my
like.
god, Modern Drummer. That's so funny. Although I do read it. I do business with them too.
Nice.
They're a good one. I don't know why I'm like totally spacing out on this question, Kelly. Like how dumb.
Okay, like what about like types of books? Do you have any types of books
I
that you
like
like?
more classic books like Hemingway, and for some reason I'm just like spacing right now.
Old Man and the Sea,
That's a good one.
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Uh, why is this question so hard for me right now?
The Sun Also Rises, A Farewell to Arms. I've got them all, by the way.
Oh yeah, are those your
Yeah.
kind of favorite books too?
Yeah, I love Hemingway and Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh yeah, he's a good one. I'm gonna text you something.
Okay. Go through your library, text me your
Right?
favorite book, and I'll put it in the description.
Why am I God? Weird. I don't know. It must be Skype.
That's all right. It's well, I mean, it's late over here. It's not so late over there. It's 8 o'clock over there. 18.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's
Damn.
early, Kelly. It's early.
Oh well, yeah. Sorry, I don't have an excuse ready for you.
Well, you guys have a little baby, right? You guys are probably tired.
You know what? She sleeps through the night basically, pretty much now.
Ah,
So yeah, that's a life changer when you have kids. The first 3 4 months are super hard, especially with the sleep. But
yeah,
once she starts sleeping through the night, it's like it's like a world of difference.
I bet that makes sense.
But it's awesome. I love being a dad. I wish I would have done it sooner. But
Ah,
you
hold
know,
up.
you're never ever ready to be a parent. You just kind of like when you're ready in your head and it happens, you kind of just find a way, sort of, I guess.
Right? You know what? That's like what a lot of my friends that are parents say. They're like, "You're never really ready." Like you could say like, "I'm not ready," but you're probably never really going to be like ready. You know?
Yeah. As ready as you can possibly be is when I was um skating on the ice. Uh, Before, like, it was just me. I just wanted to score goals. I just wanted to play. But the last few times that I played, I was like, oh, I wish I had a little kid to teach how to skate and how to shoot and whatever. And then that's when I knew, like, okay, yeah, I could probably have kids. And then you
Right.
have kids, and you're like, oh yeah, I wasn't ready.
Think again.
Yeah, exactly. But you know
That's
what?
so funny.
You make it work, and when you see them smile and when you see them laugh and giggle and all those things that parents say, it's so true. It's so worth it.
Well, I'm happy for you, Kelly. She's super cute. I see all your photos.
And she's actually named after the town in Maui, Hana.
Aw, really?
Yeah, yeah, there's a cool story behind it. My wife, I can't take credit for it. It's all my wife. We had, we had issues getting pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and it took over 2 years of
Oh,
us
wow.
trying to get pregnant and going to the doctor and all this. So it's like it was basically our personal road to Hana. It was just like a lot of twists and turns.
Ah, yeah,
But once you get to Hana, it's all worth it. So
totally. That's a
yeah,
cool
so
story.
yeah. It's once she explained it to me, I was like, how can I not say no to that?
Yeah, seriously.
So yeah, but do you have any plans of having kids anytime?
Not really. No. I would say like as of now, I don't think I want to, but like I don't know, things. Who knows? Like my mind's changed so many times, like since I was younger too. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever happens, happens. Just know that if you ever do decide to have kids, it's it's quite an awesome thing. So I wouldn't say close your mind off to it at least. Always keep it
Right.
open because it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I mean, now that I have a niece, she's like a year and a half. Like, I'm definitely getting it more. Like, like being around her is amazing, and watching her like experience things for the first time and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
definitely unlike anything else.
Yeah, like when I was around kids earlier in my life, it was always cool because I loved to be around kids, but I
Mhm.
also loved when they started crying to give them back to the parents.
Yep.
And so that was my whole stance for not having kids for such a long time. But now that I have kids, it's like I love the whole experience, like everything, the crying and the laughing, the throwing up and the smiling, like
Right.
the dichotomy of having kids. The whole experience to me is like, I don't care about the bad part because the good part totally outweighs the
It
bad.
outweighs it. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was super great talking to you. I hope you had fun.
Thanks, Kelly. It was good to talk to you too. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this.
Yeah, like usually I try to say, um, for the people that have YouTube channels, it enhances their videos because when you're watching a YouTube cover, you kind of don't know the person. You're just kind of going off of what you see. So
Right.
when I interview these guys, it adds to their videos because once someone sees the interview and they get to know the guy, next time they see one of their covers, it's like, oh yeah, that guy that likes pizza or that guy that likes like all these different things that we talked about.
Right.
But for you, it's a little bit different because you don't have a YouTube channel.
I probably
So
should,
I'm
but yeah, I don't.
you definitely should.
I know.
I'm like subtly hinting that you should start your own channel because it's actually really cool. You can definitely go down a rabbit hole with it and
Uh-huh.
like do all different types of things. But even just to put up a video every now and then of your band and live footage and whatnot, people love that stuff. And the community on YouTube is so cool, like so supportive of each other. And it's just
Right.
another network of people that you can get to know. I've gotten to know so many people, not just drummers, but like different musicians and whatnot. And
Oh,
it's
cool.
it's a crazy virtual world where I've done a bunch of collaborations with people and whatnot. And so yeah, it's really cool. It's almost like living in Philly is not a hindrance to my musical playing and all of that stuff because of YouTube and the
Right,
internet and
right.
stuff.
That's cool.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that this interview, I guess, maybe people that watch it will, when they're in LA, they might look up Blood Candy or something and see if you're playing that night.
That'd be awesome.
Cool. So yeah, if you guys are watching and you get to catch a Blood Candy show, introduce yourself to Kat and make sure to tell them that you saw the interview. Tell her that you saw the interview, and hopefully you guys can have a cool conversation and whatnot. You can meet some people.
Yeah, come say hi.
Alrighty, well I'll let you have the rest of your night. Yeah, it's 11:30. I'm gonna go to bed.
Fair enough. Getting
But
late.
it was so great talking to you, Kat. I'm so glad we got to catch up.
Yeah, same here, Kelly. It was nice.
Alrighty, take care and have a good day at work tomorrow.
All right, thanks. You too. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
After the sunlight, at night when the moon rises, it's just one of those